Good morning and welcome back to another episode of iCoach Nutrition Radio. Today we are going to dive into a topic that comes from a client of mine. She asked, how do I commit and stay consistent with the plan, right? How do I actually follow through, trust the process, fall in love with the journey, right? And actually stay consistent for long enough to be able to accomplish my goals. Ultimately was the question, right? And if you think about it, the number one struggle for everybody is consistency, right? And this comes from an idea that they think that they have to be perfect, right? In reality, perfection is the enemy, right? I, as a coach, am not looking for you to be perfect, right? Ultimately, what I'm looking for is for you to be consistent. Because if you're consistent with doing the majority of the things that you need to do the majority of the time, you are going to accomplish the goals that you set out for yourself, right? But if you have this all or nothing mindset of trying to be perfect, well, you can do that for a day or a week or a month, but eventually you fall off because life happens, right? So when you try to be perfect, you ultimately set yourself up for failure, right? You cannot be perfect. Nobody can be perfect, right? And you might be able to be perfect for, potentially a short period of time, but you can't be perfect for the rest of your life, right? And so again, how do you actually follow through with the process? How do you actually be consistent? How do you actually commit? Well, you need to make sure that you not only establish a goal, but you establish a big, important why behind the goal, right? I always say you can overcome any how when your why is strong enough, right? And so if you have a really, really strong why, you're going to be so much more prone to accomplishing your goal. For example, if I have some very superficial surface level goal, right? And I don't really have it's not something that's really important to me, then I'm going to make excuses, whether they're valid or not, as to why I can't accomplish them. Right. And so it's kind of one of these things where it's you have to really build up a strong why, right? If you have something that happens to you, like you've been diagnosed with a, medical condition, diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, these are things that really are powerful motivators for people and really influence them and make them to make, a lifestyle transformation, which then leads to them accomplishing their goals. If you're somebody that's like, oh, I just want to, get ready for this vacation or, for, a wedding or whatever, then sometimes that might not be the most motivating of goals. And again, for some people, maybe it is, right? Everyone's different here. It just all depends on what motivates you, right? But at the end of the day, we do prioritize the things in our life that are important to us. And so if something is important to you, and if you want to make it a priority, then you'll put in the work, you'll do what it takes to accomplish the goals. And so, I mean, I've worked with thousands of clients over the last 12 years of being in this field. And at the end of the day, those that have a really strong why behind why they want to accomplish their goal, they put in the work, right? They don't make excuses. They put in the work, they do what it takes, and they are consistent enough to be able to accomplish their goal. And it's a continuous thing, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you really think about it, yes, there's some short-term goals that you want to accomplish, but for most people, right, that especially that come to me, they're trying to set themselves up for long-term success, right? They want to learn how to live a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. And so, it's one of these things where it's like, how do I actually break the cycle of constantly being on or off a diet? How do I break this cycle of starting and stopping, right? How do I set myself up to build a lifestyle, right, that makes me feel, look, and perform my best for this current season of life that I'm in, right? How can I actually set myself up to be consistent, right, with being able to prioritize living a healthy lifestyle for the rest of my life, right? Because ultimately, that's the name of the game, right? And so this is why I always present kind of this mason jar example of the big rocks that actually matter, right? And what that looks like is it's prioritizing these healthy lifestyle habits, right? These big rocks It's things like sleep, things like nutrition, things like exercise, hydration, stress management, personal development. These are all things that are, the big rocks of what it means to truly live a healthy lifestyle, right? And again, this isn't something that you have to be perfect with. It's just something that you have to build awareness with in the beginning. And this is why things like tracking are so important, right? Because you have to build awareness. If you don't build awareness through tracking, then you won't know what you need to improve upon, right? You won't know what you're doing good with. You won't know what you're struggling with. And ultimately, this process of transforming your lifestyle is all about building good habits and getting rid or improving upon bad habits, right? But what doesn't get tracked doesn't get changed, right? At the end of the day, you just won't build awareness if you don't track. And so when I say track, I mean tracking things like using a habit tracker and tracking all of these different habits, right? Tracking your calories and your macros in an app like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, right? Having a visual and tracking your nutrition through a food and drink picture log, taking a picture of everything you eat and drink, right? Using a check-in form to assess your week. The combination of all of that tracking gives us the data, right? Both you and I as coach and client to be able to assess, right? To again, be able to instill those good habits that you're doing well with, right? And say, hey, like these are things that are very important and you're doing a great job with, and we need to continue doing a great job with these things for the rest of our life. And then also be able to identify the things that you're struggling with. You're not prioritizing your sleep. You're drinking too much caffeine, too much alcohol. You're not eating enough fruits and vegetables. You're on a calorie roller coaster ride. You're overeating. You're undereating, right? You're overtraining. You're undertraining. You're stressed beyond belief. You're not doing things to manage your stress. You're not staying hydrated. You're not doing things to help you develop as a person, as a human being. You're not prioritizing personal development. And that's why you have more anxiety and stress and depression and lack of fulfillment and all of these things in your life. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? So again, I'm not sitting here saying that you have to track for the rest of your life. Like by no means, that is not what I'm saying. But you do have to learn how to track, and you have to use these tracking tools to help you build awareness, because awareness precedes change. Right. And what doesn't get tracked doesn't get changed. Like that's the truth. Right. So I think when the question comes up of, how do I commit? Right. How do I stay consistent? Right. Well, again, the only way that you commit and stay consistent is if you establish a goal, right? Or establish goals that you want to accomplish over the next year. Right. Notice I say year, not 30 days, right? Who's the person that I want to become over the next year? Because ultimately what's preventing you from where you are today and who you want to become, you're either lacking a belief or a trait or a skill set or a combination of those three. And it may be multiple in each one of those areas. And so you have to ultimately ask yourself the question, who is the person that I want to become over this next year? Right. And now establishing that goal, establishing why you want to accomplish that goal and why it's important to you, and making sure that is a very, very strong motivator for you in your life, so that when things get hard, so that when life happens, so that when you get stressed, you are able to bring yourself back to the goal, back to your why, right? And lean on that to motivate you to push forward. Right. And if you can do that, right, well, then a year from now, you'll be reading this letter that you wrote to yourself the previous year of who the person that you want to become is. And you will be so incredibly proud of yourself for the person that you became. Right. And so it all comes back to integrity, right? Following through with the things that you say that are important to you. Right. Every single time that you say that you're going to do something and you follow through with it, you build up integrity with yourself. Every single time you say you're going to do something and you don't follow through with it, you lose integrity with yourself, right? And so when you think about confidence and you think about commitment, right? Well, you have to commit to the process. You have to commit and fall in love, convince yourself over time, right? And as you start to build these wins, you do start to fall in love with the process and the journey. Right? It's the dirt in the clouds, if you will, right? You can see the clouds here. It says the clouds, right? The vision, what you believe in, your reason why, right? And then the dirt, you can't see this over here, but the dirt, right? Living in the trenches, the sacrifices, the humility, the work, right? And so that is just such a great example of what exactly that we're doing here through this transformative process of creating the life that you want to live, the life that you're proud of, the life that you are leading from the front, leading as an example for yourself and for your family and for your coworkers and your friends and so on and so forth. And so, I mean, this stuff just fires me up because this is the life coaching of what I do, right? At the end of the day, this is so much more than just nutrition and fitness, right? You have to actually have the life coaching, the lifestyle coaching aspect of this as well, because life is going to happen. Life is going to be hard. There are going to be things that are going to happen along the way that are going to pull at you, that are going to distract you, that are going to make you feel like you don't have the time, that you're too stressed, that you have too much on your plate to be able to accomplish your goal. And this is where it brings it back to starting and stopping. It's never going to be the right time, ever. Right? Think to yourself with anything in life that you've done, whether, for my parents out there, having your first child, right? Or starting this job, right? Or going to school, or buying your first house, or whatever it may be, right? It typically never actually feels like the right time, right? We wait for this perfect time, this imaginary perfect time to do things in our life. And the reality of it is you can't be in this place where it's like ready, aim, fire. And instead, you actually need to take the approach of fire, aim, ready, right? And again, I'm not saying not to plan and not to be proactive in your approach and not to be smart with the decisions that you make, but ultimately, as the saying goes, sometimes we fall into this trap of just procrastinating, right? And waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the right time. And because of that, not ever actually taking action at all, right? So bringing it back here and answering the question, how do I commit? How do I stay consistent? Well, you need to make sure that you take everything that I just said into consideration, and you need to go all in on you, right? You will never regret going all in on you. And I promise you that if you do that, if you take imperfect action, right? Imperfect action beats no action at all. That's the saying and how it goes. I promise you, as you start stacking up these wins, these little wins add up to big wins, you start building momentum, right? And before you know it, you've completely transformed your lifestyle and therefore transformed your life. You're proud of yourself, right? You've become the person that you wanted to become. You've reached your God-given potential in life. And you know what? This is an ongoing journey, right? This is something that you continue to work on for the rest of your life. So I hope this helps. To the client that asked this question, thank you as always for these questions. I appreciate them. I hope that these videos are inspiring. I hope these videos are educational. As I always say, like, most people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's something that I really try to embody as a coach. I truly do care. I truly do care about helping my clients to become the best versions of themselves. I truly do believe that my God-given purpose in life is to help people reach their God-given potential in life. So that's all I've got. Hopefully this Tuesday morning motivation helps. And I hope that inspires you to go all in on you and all in on becoming the best version of you. So that's all I've got. Happy Tuesday. Hope y'all have an amazing day. Hope y'all have an amazing week. And God bless. Until next time.